Hello, anyone out there in streaming land, the land of Twitch. Hope you're doing well, having a good Saturday. My name is Carl, Carl24K, or whatever you want to call me. I'm here to do a data science live stream about Google Cloud Platform, GCP, and a tool called Airflow for feature engineering. So I guess this is more of a data engineering stream than a data science stream, but it's just one of those things where it's something that I wanted to learn, and I think it's a pretty cool technology to learn about. Airflow in particular, I've wanted to get my hands on it, and I figured I'd kill two birds in one stone and learn Google Cloud at the same time, because I've always been on AWS. So I just thought this would be kind of fun and cool, and there's not a lot of streams or videos out there about learning cloud computing, and it's such an important part of everyday work life for those of us professionals in the field. So without further ado, I will dive in and do a little bit of Google Cloud setup. This is like my sort of quick start. I don't know if it'll be that quick, but it's going to make the rest of the stream faster. I'm just going to get a few things started in Google Cloud. I'm going to create a new project for the stream, and then I'm going to enable some of the tools within my project. And it takes a few minutes, when you do these things. So I'll just show you what I mean. I'm going to come back to this later. If it seems like, what the hell is he doing? Why is he hacking around in Google Cloud? I'm actually going to come back and explain this, but this is just I'm just going to kick off some things here. The first one will be to make a new project. You see here I have my organization, fight churn with data.com. That's how they set you up in Google. You got to have a URL to be an organization. And I have some existing projects where obviously I've been playing around already, but I'm going to do a new project for the stream, and we will call this, I guess, the Churn stream. Everything starts with churn around here. There's my organization. Okay, that all looks good. I'm going to say create. And let's see, Google Cloud. Don't fail me now. Let's see, churn. Okay, looks like it's created. Select it. Let's. Come on, select project. I said about Google Cloud, don't fail me now. Do you think I've seen this before? This works though, trust me. And this might happen to you when you create your own project. No need to panic. This is normal. Let's see. Here I am. Here's my project, Churn Stream. I don't know if you can see that. Might be too small. All right, a little bit zoomed in here. You can see my project, Churn Stream. All right, that was my step one. Step two, go to SQL. We're going to look, and we're going to be using the SQL feature, SQL engine here later, but for right now, all I want to do is go in here and let's see. I'm going to say I want to create an instance, but let's see. Oh, it's already enabled. That's good. Sometimes when you come in here, it's not enabled. I think it finally learned from my last project. I think this is actually okay. I'm going to choose Postgres because if you've seen my book, it's written basically in Postgres. So let's see. Oh, here's the API I need to enable. So I'm going to hit Enable API. This is going to have to happen. This is the part that's going to take a while. This is where I was trying to get to. Enable API. Okay, that's a start. And now I'm also going to duplicate this tab. So that API enabling thing is going to take a little while. And what I really want is just to, right now, get somewhere else, on the platform. Whoops, we're going to do something different. Right. And go, damn it. It's like kind of freaking out on me. Finally, we're going to go to Composer. That's the next place I wanted to do something. So these were my instructions. Go to SQL, enable Compute Engine API. Done. Next, go to Composer and create an environment. And I'm going to come back and explain what all these things are later, but all these little enablements take some time. And what I'm going to do is just kick off the Composer API to do its little spinny wheel thing. Here's my Postgres doing a spinny wheel. Oh, Oh, actually, it looks like that one's done. What about this one? Try this API. Yeah, it's still giving me the spinny wheel. Okay, that's actually good. I'm going to pause there on the Postgres. I'm going to let Cloud Composer API give me the little spinny wheel for a while. Oh, okay. Oh, no. Good. We're good on that. Okay, hold on. Creating the environment. That's the real fun. I'm going to pick Composer 2. That's the newer one. Honestly, I'm still not an expert on this, so don't ask me exactly the difference between Composer 1 and Composer 2. But common sense, if you're starting a new project, do you want to use the old version of the API or the new version? I'll go with the new version, as long as it's not a .o. So this is going to be to create my Composer environment, which basically means it's going to give me an Airflow instance. I'm going to say more about this later. I got to do this little grant thing. Granting some permissions, and now I'm going to make a name for my environment, which I guess we can be Churn Stream Composer. How about that? My location, I'm going to go with the one that seems closest to me, to the best of my knowledge, is US West 1. What are we seeing here? Yeah. Image version, I actually don't know anything about this, but like I say, don't use a .o release. I'll go with 2017, and that seems okay. I'm going to say small resources and standard everything else, and I'm just going to hit create here. And now this is also going to run for a little while. That we're going to be getting the spinny wheel for some time here, but I'm going to come back later and explain what the hell I was just doing. So bear with me. I think I've done everything I had to do in my opening setup, my little quick start. Enable Compute Engine API, go to Composer, create an environment. Check, 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 check. All right, what the hell am I talking about? Well, of course I'm talking about Churn, because if you know me, I'm the Churn data science guy. So while those environments are creating and things are happening, I'll do my quick little Churn wrap here. What is Churn? Churn is subscribers, customers, or users quitting, unsubscribing or unfollowing or canceling, whatever, any bad action you don't want them to take. That's what churn is. The origin of the term is from the churn rate, which is the percent of customers dropping out. Churn is also now a verb. The customer churned. Or make me a churn report, or make me a report of last quarter's churns. No, wait, that's a noun. That's the noun usage. Customer churned or I'm churning would be the verb usage. Noun usage is make me a churn report, or that customer is a churn. So, yep, churn is, as I like to say, the most common problem in the world. But actually, let's talk about the real problem, which is churn reduction. So we're really here to do data-driven churn reduction, which means perhaps making a great product. That's the best way to keep customers from churning, but make features and content that people love by using data. And that's what we're going to do here in a little bit. Target your marketing to make good marketing messages for people using data, and that's data-driven churn reduction. Or give customer success advice to your customers in need using your data, of course. Or do something about your pricing, make a better sales pricing plan. So that is data-driven churn reduction, and that's the end goal of everything we're trying to do. Why learn about it? Because it's the most common data science problem around today. Every company in the world now has a churn problem because they all want recurring revenue. They all want your dollars to keep coming back, and your euro and your yen and every other currency, Hai and Naira, all the currencies in the world. But anyway, most common data science problem, but there's some special techniques that you need to know. Also, it's a great way to learn data science foundations, going from raw data to results that you can use. Now, what am I talking about today? I am talking about Airflow feature engineering on the Google Cloud Platform, also known as GCP. Now, as I explain in the book, Fighting Churn with Data, making summary metrics about your customers is a key part of the process. So making summary metrics is a really key part in using data to fight churn. And in the book, Fighting Churn with Data, it's all done with a simple Python script, as you would know if you've seen the book or if you're going to see it. So the feature engineering in the book, it's not a production quality data pipeline in the book. It's basically taught in a way meant to teach the concepts, but without having like a minimum amount of possible investing in system setup. So what I'm doing in the stream here today is actually demonstrating and also practicing for myself a more professional production quality way to do feature engineering. So Airflow is an open source process control tool. It's pretty much state of the art for feature engineering pipelines, and Airflow has this little windmill guy. Whoops, go back. Showing you the little windmill guy for Airflow. Google Cloud Platform is, well, it's one of the major cloud platforms, and it's pretty easy to learn, I'll say. I wanted to learn it just to have the experience to see how it compares to AWS, because I mostly work on AWS. But it's an easy to learn cloud platform, and it includes Airflow as a service, which is known as the Composer service in Google Cloud. So you can get an Airflow instance all set up and ready to go in just a few minutes. Speaking of which, how many minutes? Let's see, how's our Airflow environment doing here? Still got the spinny wheel. So, like I said, in just a few minutes, you'll get an Airflow environment that you can use to learn and practice. Also in Google Cloud, there's a big data database called BigQuery, which you can use to do all of your feature engineering tasks using a data lakehouse approach. If you've heard of a data warehouse and a data lake, well, the data lakehouse is the new hot real estate in data land, and we'll be talking about that architecture in this stream. So this is what the technologies we're going to play around with. This is pretty much the system that I am going to construct and work with on the stream today, because I want to play with Airflow for feature engineering, and you want to learn how to use Airflow to feature engineer your churn data. Now, that means we need some data. Well, guess what? I know a way to get some data to feature engineer and play around with for churn, and that's to use the code from my book, Fighting Churn with Data. So if you've seen the book, you'll know it includes a simulation that generates data about simulated customers that you then analyze, and you can use all the techniques of real churn fighting in data that is freely available, has no personal information of any real people in it or anything like that. So that is what we're going to do in this stream. We're going to run the simulation and then load the data into BigQuery. So that's kind of what I'm showing here on the left. I'm going to make a virtual machine in Google Cloud to run the simulation. And then it's going to write to a SQL database in Google Cloud because, well, the current generation of the book code writes to a SQL database. And then we're going to load it to BigQuery, where we'll then do the feature engineering using Composer Airflow feature pipeline. And we're going to kind of set up all these technologies in the stream today. So this is the checklist of things to do to get set up. To set up a churn data set and get your Airflow up and running. We're not actually going to get into the real feature engineering goals on the stream today. But look, this is a lot of stuff to do. This is what you have to do to set up. So this is basically your setup stream. These are the instructions. And in the future, anyone, I hope, if you're learning Google Cloud for the first time or learning Airflow for the first time or learning about churn and you want to see how to make an architecture you can really use at your company, hopefully this will be a useful setup and instruction reference for you. Because I'm going to go through in real time and go through all these steps. Now, I already had a Google account to start with. You would have to make your own. Well, I'm going to say more about each one of these steps in turn, actually. Let's go through to the next slide. I'm going to be back in the cloud in a minute. I've just got a little bit more talking to get through here. But here's what you have to do to get started. You have to make a Google Cloud account and a project. It's not too hard. It takes a few minutes, and you will have to give them your credit card. But you do get a $300 credit. So you could easily set up your account and do all these setup steps and practice everything that I'm going to teach you in this stream and do it all in your $300 credit. So even though you have to sign up with your credit card, I hope you will not pay any money to do this. Well, you have to remember to turn off your own instances. If you leave your instances on, I am not responsible. And it'll be a good learning experience for you to never leave your instances on in the cloud. Anyway, so the first step is to make an account and then make a project to hold all the Google Cloud resources, because that's how Google Cloud works. Everything has to live in a project, which is good. It's kind of an easy to use cloud. I'm not aware of exactly a similar concept in AWS. I guess it's kind of an account in AWS. But anyway, let's just keep going. So I already did this at the very beginning, right? So remember I went through this step at the beginning of the stream. Next is to create a Postgres SQL DB. And that can be done in the SQL service in Google Cloud. And we're going to generate the churn data into that database. Now, you might wonder, why don't we just generate the data straight into BigQuery if that's where we want to work on it? Well, it's actually realistic in a real churn scenario. You might have a lot of your data in a SQL transactional database, because that would have been running to collect the data. And then you would typically do an upload step to load them to your data lakehouse or data warehouse, whatever you like. And so it's kind of a realistic step, actually, to have data in your SQL database and then get it into BigQuery. So, but we'll go through that today. And let's see. Also, like I said, fighting churn with data, I wrote it against Postgres, so we're kind of stuck with that. I wasn't going to do a port of the fighting churn with data code when I can just do like a quick load, and it's, you know, kind of realistic anyway. So I actually have to let's go through this step now. I actually enabled the API before. Now I want to go through the actual step. Okay, my composer environment, still spinning wheel, but that's fine. Let's make a Postgres instance now for the rest of the stream. So we'll call this, let's see, churn stream OLTP, which I think people use for online transaction processing. My password, I think I'll keep it simple. Look, now you know my password. It's just churn. But that's the beauty of using simulated data. Low security is fine. Now I'm going to call this a development environment to keep my costs low. And my region, I'm going to choose US West 1, because I think that's just the closest to where I am here in California. Although I wonder, Las Vegas? Nah, that's not that close. Single zone is fine. Let's see, I'm going to show configuration options. I'm going to make sure I use a pretty good machine type. You can use a cheaper machine if you're willing to wait longer. But because we're going to be watching on the live stream while I run some code, I'll splurge, spend 72 cents an hour. That means this stream will cost me like 72 cents of my free credit. But we'll get some decent performance when we're loading the data and running the simulation. I think that'll help. Let's see, storage, I think we're good. That seems the better one. Backups, I'm gonna not enable automatic backups because, you know, it's just, like I said, it's just simulated data. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and create the instance. All right. We'll watch this sort of start creating here. This spinny wheel will only take a few minutes, and soon we'll have a live Postgres instance. All right, let's go back to my instructions. This is the reason I make, you know, a slide deck or, you know, presentation part of my stream. I know what I'm supposed to do right here. All right, next we're going to make a virtual machine instance. All right, so we need to go make a virtual machine instance, which the first thing I'll do is duplicate this tab. And so I can get a new view into Google Cloud while that other one's running. I had a little trouble with this before, but hopefully I'll be more patient this time. Okay, here we go. Compute engine. This is where we want to go. Whoops. Let's see. Compute engine. Yep. VM instances. Okay. Now we'll really go somewhere else here. All right, we will create an instance. I think that's my next instruction. Did it say anything else here? Say, create an instance. Oh yeah, we have to create it, and then there's some setup to do. Let's go, I think just finish creating it. We'll call this, well, maybe I should have left that. We could call it Churn Instance 1, that's fine. Once again, my region, gonna stick with my same region, US West 1, not taking any risks there. I don't care about the zone, I don't even know what it means. I think I can use a pretty standard machine here, a medium, 1 shared core, 2 CPUs, 4 gigs memory. I think that'll be fine. I think this can all be left at the standard settings. And this will create an instance for me in just a moment. Now, once the instance is created, there is a little bit of setup. So we're going to hit some code or more like coding in a minute. So I'm showing you how to do this from scratch. If you just start up your own GCP instance, this is what you'll need to do. There's other clever things you can do with images and things like that, but I'm just showing like a simple default setup. So here my instance is already ready, green check, and here I can just do the SSH connection. All right, transferring SSH key, that just takes a moment. So I'm gonna want to actually run this code. Whoops. So I'm actually just gonna like kind of leave my presentation mode there and just copy paste here. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is install G++. What is G++? If you don't know, it is basically, I think, C++. It's like the GNU G C++ compiler. And you just need, you know, C++ compiler installed to install a lot of Python packages. Really, I'm going to be installing Python. You're like, hey, I thought you were using Python. What's this C++ compiler? Well, a lot of Python packages that you might want to install are going to need C++ installed first. So that's what I'm doing. This actually takes a minute or two. It's the longest installation we have to do. So while it's running, you know what I'll do is I'm going to rearrange my windows a little bit. I'm going to make it so we can just kind of see it running back here. And now we can, while we're waiting, first thing I'll do is check on my Composer environment. Still running, still the spinny wheel. Oh wait, it looks like my G++ install is already done. Okay. Next thing I have to do is install the Python 3 tool virtual environment. Now, I'm not quite sure why you have to do that, because these Google Cloud instances do come with Python 3, but they don't come with virtual environment, which I think is a little bit weird. Maybe a Python guru can explain it to me. But anyway, installing Python vn is pretty easy. The other thing we're going to need is the Postgres SQL. I don't even know how to pronounce that. But we need the client, not the full database, because remember, we made a Postgres database. So this is just installing the client that we will need to connect to the other one. And then let's see, what's the other things we do? Okay, now that I have installed Python 3, I'm going to make a virtual environment here. Hey, Rolinas, VM is not installed by default to Ubuntu server. Okay, yeah, I didn't know. I mean, but why? I mean, because you would think everyone needs it. Like, what do you do in Python without a virtual environment? I guess on a server, you can just write packages to the main environment or something. I don't know. I thought you're always supposed to use a virtual environment in Python. That's what they taught me, but I'm not really very good at Python. I'm a data scientist first and a Python hacker second. But thanks for the tip. All right, so the next thing I need to do is make a directory to save my outputs from the program. Yeah, I guess not everyone needs it. So I guess you're also giving me a clue that I didn't know. Are my instances in Google Cloud Ubuntu? I'm actually, again, I'm a data scientist first and only a cloud hacker or a cloud programmer as a sideline. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is go back, and we want to activate our virtual environment. And lastly, oh yes, okay, it is Ubuntu. Thank you. Lastly, I'm going to actually install the Fight Churn package. So this is the packages from my book, and it's gonna, do what it does with pip. And that will give me the data simulation. That's what I really wanted to get here. We're gonna simulate data, write it to Postgres in Google Cloud, but first I need to install the code. So that'll take a couple of minutes, not too long, and it's mostly XGBoost and SHAP, which takes so long to install. So don't blame my code. My code is not that much. All right, so what's the next step in our setup here? Whoops, too fast. We're supposed to do more database and virtual machine setup. Then this is, again, instructions for you if you want to follow along. This is what we do next. I have to add the virtual machine address to the database instance to allow it to connect. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to let this thing run in the background. I'm going to go back and I'm going to figure out the IP address of my virtual machine instance. Won't take long. Should be somewhere. Did I just scroll past it? Oh, here we go. It's going to be the external IP address that I want. So I'm going to want this guy. I guess I'll just copy it now. And what I need to do, going back to my instructions, go to the database instance and go to the connections tab. Let's see. Here was my database. And here's connections. And let's see. There's an add network button. So I'm going to add network, and that's going to be my churn simulation instance. I don't know what to call it. The network is that IP address that I just copied. And that should be it. So now note, not saved. See right there? Not saved. Very important instruction to save you some heartache and headache later. You have to hit save here for this to actually take. And it'll give you an error if this is like a bad address. How would I know that? It might have happened to me that I put in the wrong address. But I think this is right. Let me go look at my instructions again. Add network, save button. All right, I think we're good on that part of the setup. Next, okay, now I'm going to go back to my instance and I'm going to connect to my database. Because in the setup instructions, you actually have to make your own database on Postgres. So let's go back over here, and I'm going to actually, okay, so now all my packages have installed. That's good. So I've got that going. Now let's go back, and I'm going to connect to the database using the psql command line, which we installed previously. Here I need the real IP address of my database. So let's go find that over here. Let's see. Well, this was my database. So if I look at my overview, I should be able to find here. That's all I want. Public IP address. Oh, and don't forget your single quotes in this psql command. Pretty sure we need that. Okay, now this worked. Now, if you had not added the virtual machine connection, remember we did that 5 minutes ago, this would have hung. So the fact that it immediately gave me the password prompt means that I set up the network correct on the database instance. So now here I am connected to my Postgres instance, and I'm just gonna run this one quick command. And I wish I had figured out a way to create databases from code, but I never did. So there I've created my database churn, which I just had to do, and that's a necessary step before running the simulation. So I can leave here now, go back to my instructions, and let's see, what was next? Where are we? Hello, 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 C-Films. Hey, welcome back. I haven't seen you in ages. Although, you know, I've checked out your stream a few times. I mean, not for long, but I've seen you streaming. But yeah, glad to see you. I'm doing okay. Although, man, it's been a crazy year. Don't get me started. Let's just say I'm okay and leave it at that. All right, so the next step, we've now going back to my main instructions. I've made an account in project. Oh, hey, Katarina. Wow, a bunch of old friends suddenly showing up here. Wow, did I just get raided or something? Because all of a sudden it seems like there's a bunch of viewers, but that's cool. Glad to have you with me, and nice to see you, Katarina. This is where I'm at in my project for the day. I made a Google Cloud account and project. I made a Postgres database, a virtual machine instance, which I set up, and now I'm going to do the churn data simulation, which will be boring for everyone who knows my book because, you know, you've already seen it before. But what I'm going to go do is, this is going to run, we're just going to get it running and then we're going to do something else. So I'm going into Python and import the fight churn package. Churn, I think this is it. Nope. Import, oh, run churn listing. Little typo there. All right, now I'm gonna cheat and copy, well, I'm gonna check my command. Run churn listing, set churn environment. I'll just do this. And this is gonna set up the environment for the simulation. Churn, I think, is my database. Churn is my database. Postgres is my user. Churn is my password. You're going into a snake because you're going into a python. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I went into a python. It's like getting eaten by the python. Let's see. And now I need to specify my output directory, which is, for me, it will be home, Carl, churn, output, because that's what I created before. And lastly, I need to put in that address of my SQL database. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go back over here and get this IP address for this instance. All right, I think that's what it should look like. Let's hit, nope, invalid syntax. What have I done? Oh, I have like an extra quote here. There we go. I used to be an R developer. I was kind of an R data scientist first, actually, when I first started doing data science, because I had been using a lot of MATLAB at my Wall Street job when I kind of transitioned to be a data scientist. So I did a lot of R first. And then I got into Python over time, because Python has just become more popular and useful for production. All right, so I've set up my churn environment, and let me just start the simulation, and then I can chat. It's like run churn listing dot run standard simulation. This is just going to start doing this is the standard data simulation. If you've done fighting churn with data in the book, you'll have seen this before. So this is just going to run in the background, and it'll take a few minutes, and we can get back to my instructions. Let's see, C-Films. Have I ever heard of the coding language McFly? Yeah, I feel like I have actually heard it or seen it recently, but I can't actually remember the context. And was that, you have to kind of wonder, is it a joke? Like McFly, really? That's the name of your programming language? It sounds like, I don't know, a fast food chain started by a DJ or something like that. But anyway, the simulation is running along and you can see it's moving at a pretty good pace. That's because I got a kind of expensive Postgres instance here. Actually, maybe we could even see some utilization. If you look on the Postgres instance, we should see disk read and write operations coming in, because that's what's mostly happening here. We're writing data from the simulation that's running on this instance and going over to my database. Well, I don't see anything, but try a little refresh there. We can check it out in a few minutes, but let's go back to the rest of my setup instructions so I don't get stuck here forever. So I did all this and the simulation is running. Now I'm mentioning here there's a branch. I created a branch for this stream. So if you want to actually check the code that I use, I put this in a little script later. I'm just copy pasting from my slide deck right now, but this is where you can actually find this code that I'm running. McFly is math and statistics focused coding language. Oh, and you're developing it with Python. Wow, is that like an open source project? Okay, let's go. Okay, remember I said, okay, we have to next create a composer environment. That was the next step in my setup. However, we started that one a while ago. Oh, look, it's done. Remember, it was giving me the spinning wheel for a long time. That was why I did it at the beginning of the stream, because when I tried doing this earlier in the middle of the stream, I found that it took like way too long. It took like 15 minutes or something. I don't know. It's probably, yeah, okay, McFly project is open source. So it's a math and statistics coding language. So it's kind of like R, but also like Python. So what niche? I'm actually really curious now, because in a way, my first reaction is like, oh my God, do we really need another math and statistics focused coding language? But maybe you can sell me on it. I'm like open. Let's see. So this was my next instruction. And I will definitely dig into McFly later. Although I'd really like to know why the name right now, C-Films. If you can briefly somehow explain how they came up with that name, I am all ears. Well, I will set up a BigQuery dataset. That's my next step here. I have to go to BigQuery, which means what I really need is a new tab here in my cloud environment. I can check on my churn simulation. It's up to 6,300 out of 10,000, so doing well. And I will take y'all and everyone to BigQuery for the first time. Let's see. Now I have rearranged my icons here. I should warn you, by the way, if you do this yourself for the first time, you will not find everything you want conveniently at the top of your screen. Did that just work? Okay, it's a little bit delayed reaction. But yeah, you won't find, but you can drag and drop them. Like many Google products, it's kind of user-friendly. I think it's the same stuff as in Google Office. You can drag those things around and pin them. So here I am. Okay, so this is my project. Here I am in BigQuery for the first time. And I think what I needed to do is make a data set. And I have this little instruction here to remind myself. Click on your project and create a data set noting the region. Here's a little clicker. Create a data set. I will call it SocialNet 7, because as you know from the book, if you've done the book simulation, it's good old SocialNet 7. Don't ask me why it's number 7. Well, the obvious reason is there were 6 practice attempts. And let's see, where's my US West one? I wonder if I'm closer to Oregon or Los Angeles. Here in San Francisco, we're really right in the middle. Oh, favorite movie series, Back to the Future. That's good. I remember that well. Although I only ever saw number 1, to be honest. All right, I think I'm good here on the dataset creation. That will be another little spinny wheel. And what's my next step in my instructions? All right, note the region. Getting there. Next, we're going to transfer data from Postgres to BigQuery. Now, the first thing I'll have to do is set up an external data source in BigQuery. So this is like, again, setting up a connection. So on the Query tab at the top, there's an Add Data button. So let's go up here. It's Add Data, an external data source. Oh God, another API enablement. Okay, McFly's slogan is it learns from the past but looks to the future. Oh, McFly from the Back to the Future. Sorry if I just yelled into the mic. Learns from the past but looks to the future. I like that. So hopefully it's learning from the mistakes of languages like R and Python. Learning from the mistakes of pandas in particular. Oh God. Yeah, if they can improve over pandas but still have it be compatible with Python, that would be such a service to the world. That's just my little rant. All right, so what happened here? Did this work? Have I made my... no, it enabled my API, but I have not made an external data source yet. Here we go. So now it's going to plug me directly into my SQL database. We'll say Postgres SQL. This connection ID will be the simulation data. I don't know what to call it. That's just a name. And again, US West 1. Friendly name. I'm not feeling friendly, so no friendly name. Now, Cloud SQL connection name. This I really need to get. I think, so I'm going to go back over here. Semi-typed or gradually typed. Wow, I'm going to have to go back to studying computer science because I know strongly typed and weakly typed, but I've never heard of gradually or semi-typed. And what I need to do here is, again, I get this connection string. Actually, not the IP address. I think I need this one now to put into my external data source here. And my database name, oh, what was my database name? Oh yeah, that's my database. That's like in Postgres, it's Churn. My database username was just Postgres, and my database password was just good old Churn. All right, so this is just connecting to the database that I already had. BigQuery has not been used before. Enable it. What? Have I not enabled this? BigQuery. Hey, I thought I did this a minute ago. You were all watching the stream. I did this. What's going on here? I did that enable API thing a minute ago. Uh-oh. Hope we're not having a problem here. Well, Google Cloud Services is mostly okay. Let's see. Simulation DB. See, I can't remember what to call it anymore. Let's go back. It's okay when it's working. SQL connection name, I think, was this thing, and it would tell me if that was not good. My database name was Churn. Postgres. This is going to be a real problem if this doesn't start working. It says BigQuery connection API has not been used before or it is disabled. Enable it by visiting blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. I'm going to try this. I thought I already enabled this, so let's just see. Come on, Google Cloud, give me some love here. We need to get this to work because I'm on a live stream. And Google Cloud, you're going to look bad. What? Resource Manager, project. Oh, come on, don't give me this. I swear this worked before. Maybe I'm not in the right project. Is that the problem here? No. Here I am in Churn Stream. Oh, wait. Oh, no, this is my data set. Maybe, do Do I need to select this? I don't know. Why is this not working? I'll try this one more time. I don't know if any... I swear this worked before. Something's weird here. I didn't have to do this before. Whoops. That's not the right thing. Now I got to go back here. So Fly is currently mostly a terminal-based calculator. Okay. So kind of like a command line environment. Let's see. No, wait. The database name was Churn. Database username, Postgres. All right, I'm gonna have to debug this. I swear, I'm sorry people, this did not happen when I was doing this before, but I absolutely do need to get this to work. So this says, you are missing the following required permissions. Resource manager project get. Oh, God. This worked before when I, oh, wait, what the heck? There might be a problem here with me being signed into, like, the wrong... What the hell? See, now this is showing no organization. This is wrong. Because I'm supposed to be in my organization. Which is fighting churn with data. Let's see, I swear this worked before. I just had to go up here and add data, and then it was like, let me double check my instructions. This was all going so well. This was all going well so far until this thing started screwing me up. Now I'm just trying it again for like the third time or fourth time, making sure I'm in the right project. Same problem. What the hell is going wrong here? I swear this worked before, and now I'm gonna look stupid on live stream. And none of you guys are Google Cloud experts who are gonna like come to my rescue or anything. What I need to do is, I don't have anything set up here. I'm in the right project. I definitely did this before. And that URL wasn't even working for me before. I'm gonna have to try that URL again. And I might, God, this will be really painful if we get stopped here, because we were doing so well. Let's see, here's the connection name. I'm wondering if it's just going to start working at some point, because I was like, oh, see? Now it worked. What the hell? So, how's Google Cloud? Well, it mostly works. I swear this mostly worked before. All right, that threw me off a little bit. It seems to have worked at this point. I've now made an external connection. The other thing I was going to do was actually check on my data. Let's try that real quick. Because remember, back over here, my simulation finished running in Python. I can get out of here, and now I could go back to the database, and I'm just going to check what I've done. Actually, no, that's wrong. Because here I went into the database name Postgres. Now I have to go to database name Churn. I went to the Postgres database to create the Churn database earlier. All right, now I'm in the Churn database. I'm going to say select counts. I just want to make sure that my simulation did something, basically. From... Okay, this is just a quick check. All right, so we actually created some data in the database, and that's always a good thing to check. After you've done, I'm setting up a connection from this database to BigQuery. I'm going to copy the data over. So this is just a sanity check that by directly connecting to the database, there is actually data in it. I don't know if you hear any screaming in the background. That might be some kids playing around my house. Okay, so after a long detour with my connection not working, now I'm ready to go back to the next step. We're picking up speed again. Now we're going to transfer the data, actually. Let's see. So prepare. Get the connection ID path from the connection info, which I believe is this. I need this connection ID path. And then I'm going to use some code. Let's see. Have I tried Microsoft Azure? No. And this is the first time I've tried Google Cloud too in the past week or so preparing for this stream. I've been an AWS only guy for like 8 years just because that's what the companies I was at have been using. So this is me kind of like breaking out and like, you know, doing something different. So I've got this connection path and I'm going to use a BigQuery operator called external query and a function called create table, well, a create table as syntax. If you're familiar with SQL, you can do a create table statement, and then you can also say create table as a select statement. So actually, I have some code prepared for this, which I'll go to now. It's in the same GitHub repo and branch, and there's a script GCP Postgres to BigQuery.SQL. I don't know if that's the best name. Let me find it here. This was one of those other things we were looking at. So this is an example of the query that we were talking about. We say create table SocialNet 7 account as external query. This is this connection string that I need to use. I'm gonna have to put that in. And this is select star from SocialNet 7 an account. So it's really just going to reproduce the account from my Postgres to BigQuery. And this is what I left in the code. Now I have to replace this with the string from my database, my new BigQuery instance. This is my connection string. Oops, actually, I see a typo. Let's see. Let me undo, and whoops, and I had the trailing space here. That's what I don't want. I definitely don't want a trailing space in my connection string. Okay, you've used MySQL relational. Yeah, I've used MySQL and I've used Postgres. I mean, those are, I think, the main two, right? I mean, well, of course, if you're in Azure Microsoft land, you'll be using SQL Server, I guess. But so here's an example of just copying some data from Postgres to BigQuery. Let's get back to BigQuery and finally do it. So now what I have to do is go to my SQL workspace. No, here. And I think this will give me a new... No, that's not what I want. Yeah. Whoop. I want to make a new query, not a new data set. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Where do I... Oh, here we go. I'm just looking for the query button. That's all I need is the query tool. I've got way too much stuff open here. Maybe I can like close this one up. So here is the query we're going to run. It's going to be create table here in BigQuery as select star from the Postgres stream. And let's just try this one. I'm going to see if this works. This is it down here. Elapsed time. It seems to be working, running. So this was just my first test. I wanted to make sure I have the connection path string right. Whatever you call this long thing here. God, maybe we can make this a little bit smaller too. This is easier on a big screen. So there's something about Google or Google Cloud. Not so good on a small screen, but this seems to be running. It's actually taking a little bit longer than I think it should, to be honest. This is actually a small table, should be pretty fast. Yeah, I've used MongoDB, but only a little bit. You know, I had one job where we were using MongoDB. Invalid function, external function, failed to connect to MySQL database, error. Oh God, can't connect to local. Wait a second. Ooh, did I say MySQL? I might have an error here. Let's go back and look at this thing. Now I'm worried. This is did I say this was a MySQL connection? Because I'm supposed to be using Postgres. Like, that's a big flag. So things are getting a little bit screwed up here. Connection details. I'm going to try deleting this and making a new connection. Because did anyone notice, did I say MySQL when I created it? Because that would have been a big oof. All right, let's make a new connection. Maybe the time I finally got it to work, I wasn't paying attention because I had several problems getting this to work. So maybe I missed the right connection type. Now I got to go back here and get this connection string again, but that's fine. It's got it backwards here. Churn, try to go too fast. I guess churn. And now it's definitely a PostgreSQL connection. All right, now this one, well, that gave me no errors, and I'm gonna actually recopy this connection ID here. Boy, it's really all smushed together. And then I'm going to put in my new connection ID here without the space. And let's see. Whoops. No, didn't mean to do that. Come on. Let's try running this version. Syntax error. What the hell? Let's see. Did I do this wrong? Oh, I was just giving me a brain freeze. Okay, now it's running again. Oh God, now it's saying connection not found. All right, Google Cloud, you're making me look bad here. Can I make this smaller? Google Cloud, don't mess with me. Connection not found. That doesn't really make sense. Maybe I didn't wait long enough because I'm rushing. Nope, still says not found. Can we like test this connection or something? It's weird. I mean, this thing worked when I did it. This is my connection. It's PostgreSQL this time. This is the connection name. Database name, Churn, has credential. This all looks fine to me. Let me go back over here and try putting this in here. Oh, wait. Oh, look at the location. See, I'm going too fast. I must have screwed up the location when I was creating it. All right, let's delete this connection again. Boy, you guys are seeing me at my worst. I swear this worked when I did it before. But good time to chat about, you know, databases and stuff. Hopefully third time's the charm. Now let's go here. And what I want to do is get back to, I'm going to find my button to add data. There we go. I've got to find this add data button. Or is this the fourth time? Now I'm going to remember to make it Postgres. And my data location, I must have, did you guys see, did I not set this before? I'm usually pretty careful, but I'm going too fast now because it's kept not working. It's just like it happens on an interview. Like once you start getting freaked out by one mistake, you know, then you start making more mistakes. So let's see if I can finally get this to work. Database name Churn, username Postgres, password Churn. Okay, US West 1 is my region. My database type is Postgres. God, man. This has not been pretty. Let's see. All right, here's my new connection. And let's get this new connection string here. And hopefully third time's the charm, although I'm starting to feel like this is the fourth time. Because it didn't work for so many times in the beginning. Ah, finally it worked. Okay, so this shows that I've actually now selected some data from Postgres. Man, it should not be that hard when you do it, I swear. I'm gonna now go back here and make sure that I'm, you know, redoing all these ones. Let's see, getting the right strings in here. I got to get the right strings in all these ones because I'm gonna run this. Now I have a big script here, which is gonna transfer all the tables, and I'll go over it real quick with you. So first we had the account table, and we're gonna do select star from account. Next we have the event table, which is the biggest one. And then there's an event type table. And those are the main ones at this point. So I put the correct, oh wait, look at this typo here. That would have hurt. I need to replace this without the space or all these commands will fail. So now I've got one big script here, which is going to do all of the data transfers. And I will try to make it visible for you in my little Google Cloud window. I'm just going to drop and recreate that account table too. But this is finally going to achieve the goal of copying my data from Postgres to BigQuery. It shouldn't really be that hard, but I think Google API screwed me up first, and then I started making mistakes because I was, you know, getting rattled. Well, at least now this is working reasonably quick. All right, it's doing the last one. Well, we've got account, subscription, and then there's the event and the event type tables. So yeah, MongoDB is a schemaless JSON database, which I understand is really useful for a lot of applications. I haven't used it that much because most of my applications have had like fixed schemas, you know. All right, so this is finally running. This will actually take a little bit of time to copy. Oh, well, there it is. It's done. So we've got account, event, event type, and subscription. So now this is my this was my query for the data transfer. I'll just, you know, save this one. Save query. I'll just call this copy from Postgres, and that will be this query. And now I'll make a new query just to check some of my data. I'll do like select count star from socialnet7 dot subscription. How about? Let's see. 54,414. And we can try the event table. So this data is not really that big. There's hard to read. 15 million events or something. So it's actually not that big data, but we're using BigQuery for fun, just to like, you know, use a cooler technology. So finally, I have accomplished actually the step that I was trying to do, which was copying my data from Postgres to BigQuery. And now this shows actually, whoops, and this thing's not responding. This shows actually where we are in the whole process I've been trying to do. So actually we're pretty close to the end. Sorry people, but I've made an account. I made a Postgres database. I started a virtual machine. I did a churn data simulation. I created a composer environment, a BigQuery data set, and I copied the data to Postgres. And I'm actually at 1 hour and 6 minutes on the stream so far. So you could have done this in even less time if you didn't make all the mistakes that I made. But one other thing I'm going to show you, it's actually not on this list, but there's another important step, which is to shut down your resources. Because I've already copied my data to BigQuery, I can now just go back to my database, oh, this was it, and hit the stop button. Because remember, this database was like 70 cents an hour, which is not, that's fine. I'm happy to pay 70 cents for this hour here while I'm on my stream, but I don't want to leave that thing running when I'm not using it. So I'm stopping my my database instance. I can also stop my compute instance, which was this guy, wasn't it? Let's see. Here I am in the compute engine. This is the instance where I ran the simulation, and remember I had my session here. You know, I'm still logged in on a virtual cloud instance. Let's hit the stop button on this guy too, although maybe there isn't a stop button. It's on this little menu. Yeah, I'm going to stop that instance. Stop the charges running. And that's an important cloud computing lesson for all of you who have never played around with these. Always remember to stop your instances and confirm that they're stopped. Let's see what's happening here. I seem to be... Says it's still running, so see, that didn't work. A lot of times you click these little things and it doesn't register. You got to make sure it's fully stopped. And it's good to actually look at your connection while you're doing that. Here we go. All right, now I know it's really stopped. And there we go. So now I'm stopped, or at least I'm stopping. I should also see it on this little list here. Uploads and churn operations, instance stopped. Well, anyway, there you can go. Status, instances stopped. I'm good. All right, so now finally we will get to take a little look at Airflow. So what is Airflow and what's a DAG? I don't know if you've heard the term DAG a lot, D-A-G. It's for directed acyclic graph. And since hopefully this is a data and computer science crowd, that won't be such a weird term for you. I actually had to look it up again to remind myself what it means. But this is an illustration of a DAG right here, and it's just a set of steps that has an order, which means it's directed, and also there's no cycles. So a cycle would be like if A went to B, and then B went to D, and then D went back to A. But you see, there's no cycles here. Everything flows in this illustration from left to right, so it all gets to one endpoint. And the idea of a DAG is it shows the dependencies between steps in a process, because you have in any process some steps that can be done in parallel, like steps B and C can be done in parallel with D, and then you also have sequential dependencies. And this is a good representation for most workflow processes that people, have to deal with. So you define DAGs, or directed acyclic graphs, in Python, you upload them to your bucket, and then you can watch them run. And all we're going to do on the stream today is just one basic test DAG. I'll show it to you right now. And it's also in the same branch. Let's see. It is the, let's see, in my DAG folder, it's this. So this DAG is called Churn Data Test. And as you'll see, it's just a test of the Airflow's ability to connect to BigQuery and check the data. So you can see the Airflow DAG is implemented as a Python script. Also, I should mention at the outset, I'm not an Airflow expert. I'm here to learn Airflow just like you, so don't be mad at me if I don't have answers to all your questions. In fact, maybe someone on the stream can help me learn more about Airflow if any good questions come up. So it's written as a Python script, and you have to give some default arguments. One is a start date, which I read in an example to set it to yesterday. Setting start date to yesterday starts the DAG immediately. Now I only have one retry set here, which is actually a little bit low for a real production process. But the thing is, this is just like a toy example. And if there's a bug in it, I don't want it retrying and retrying and retrying. I just want to like have the bug and move on. So these are some arguments. Then to create the directed acyclic graph, or DAG, we use the with syntax in Python. So this creates a context. So with models.dag, this here sets the name of my DAG. It's going to be the Churn Data Test DAG. This says to do it once a day with my default arguments. Now I copied a few things. Inside the DAG, you actually have tasks. And you can see here, this is the first task. This is another task, and this is another. I've got 4 tasks all together, and then at the very bottom, I have this sequence with the double greater than or operator, which actually creates the graph, the order. And as you can see here, it's a simple serial graph where each task depends on the one that came before it. Now, what are the tasks that I've got here? I copied these 2 tasks from a Google example. One checks my connection to BigQuery using what they call the default connection in Airflow, and the other checks the connection to BigQuery using an explicit connection. Yeah, this is saying this is the default connection. This is the Google Cloud connection. I don't know. Anyway, I saw this in an example, and it's a good. And here I'm just testing. So these are good tests. Then I have another test which I copied from a blog post to check some public event data, because there's a lot of public data on BigQuery, and so a good first test is to make sure that you can see some public data. So we're using these operators, which are objects created as part of the Airflow framework. So you can see Airflow, providers, Google, operators. So everything is done with operators in Airflow. And this is just a check operator. In future streams, I'll get in some more interesting operators that will do things like insert data or run queries and get the results. But right now we're just testing. So this is a check operator that checks for the truth value of this statement. Select count star greater than 0 from BigQuery public data Austin bike share. And how did I know there was an Austin bike share thing in BigQuery? I don't know. I saw it in a blog post when I was first learning this. Now, the last and most important step is checking my own data. So here I have a task for check churn event data. And my SQL is again, select count star greater than 0 from something something. Now actually here I've got to fill this one in. So I'm glad I noticed this. Don't let me start it off without fixing that. I have to now go back to my BigQuery results and make sure that I get this right. So my project is churn-stream, And that's actually what I need to put in there. I need my project. And then my data set is still SocialNet 7. Whoops. A little hiccup there with my desktop. But anyway, so this actually looks good. So churn-stream, SocialNet 7. Here, I'm actually going to test this query. This is what I'll do. This is the query that I'm running. I will just go back here to my scratch space and just try running it. And let's see. Result, true. Okay, so my query looks good. The other key thing to note when you do this, if you're trying this on your own, is get this location. Yeah, I should put here like XXX so that when I commit this code, I'll put in XXX here, because you must make this the right location for your data. And actually, when I first was doing this, I didn't have the location parameter. I was copying this example, and they don't give a location parameter for the public data set. But for my data set, I needed a location parameter, and I actually went a couple of days trying to figure out why I couldn't connect. Not days working on it, but I would work on it, it wouldn't work, and I'd try some things, and then I'd come back to it. But I was really blocked without this location here. But now this should be good. So this should now check if it can connect to BigQuery, a public data set, and my private data set. Now, how do I make this run? Let's go back to my instructions here. You upload them to a DAGs bucket, and then you just watch them run. So let's go and find my DAGs bucket back to my Composer environment. This is my Composer environment. Here's my DAGs folder, and here's the Airflow UI. Let's look at the Airflow UI first, because we're going to go back to it in a second. And I know if this is your first experience of the exciting Airflow UI, here it is. This is what you see when you log into Airflow. And here there's just one task already made for you, which is some kind of Airflow monitoring. And if you click on one of these, it'll show you that it's run. It seems to just do some kind of echo thing. I don't actually even know what this does, but it was there by default. So we'll just leave it. So this is my monitoring. The next thing I need to do is upload my DAGs. So I'm going to go to my DAGs folder now, which is going to send me over to the Google, what do you call it? Storage or bucket. Cloud storage. It's basically, the Google version of what we all know in AWS as S3. It's like a storage system with buckets. So here is my bucket, which was created for me automatically when I created the Cloud Composer environment, which took a little while, but this is very convenient. So now let me just double check my script here. Okay, I set my project to my right project. This is my right location. I think that's all I really need to do here. Now I really just need to upload it. It's churn data test. Now let's upload a file. And this is the big moment of actually running something on Airflow. So here I was already in the right folder because I kind of set this up. So this is churn data test. And this is in the Fight Churn project, Fight Churn under data gen. As you'll show you later when I commit all this. So now I just upload this, and now we watch and wait. Okay, so here's my churn data test file that's been uploaded. Now I'm going to go back to this monitoring thing, and I'm going to start pressing the refresh button a lot. Because this is apparently the thing to do if you're actually doing Airflow development. I've only just started it in the last couple of weeks. If you're actually doing Airflow development, I think you spend a lot of time sitting on this screen pressing refresh. I don't know if anyone else here is experienced with Airflow, C-Films or Rolinas. Any of you guys Airflow experts? I am not an Airflow expert. I'm still just learning. And what I've found so far is this thing doesn't really automatically update, and it takes a minute or two after you uploaded it to this folder. And there doesn't really seem to be a way to force it either. I'll just keep here hitting refresh because we want to catch it. I want to catch it running, but this should work. And not too long either, but it'll make me look stupid because I'm on live stream. It just takes a few minutes to wake up. Maybe it's because it's the first time we've ever uploaded something either. But yeah, I think if you're a data engineer working with Airflow, you spend a lot of time kind of like hitting refresh here. And I'm going to start to wonder, at what point do I have to worry? Because as we've seen, oh, there it goes. Okay, it's running. Now, once it's up there, you can click on it and watch it run. All right, come on. There we go. Okay, so here we go. The first connection has already passed. Second connection passed. Public data passed. Or no, public data set running. Oh, you guys can't see anything because it's too small. Let's make this bigger. All right. Now it's running the churn event data up. Okay, that's it. Now, that's it. It ran. So that's the test. And so that's my first DAG uploaded to Google Cloud Airflow on live stream. You can check these out a little bit. I think if I click on one of these, for example, I can look at the log and we'll see what happened. This is where you would find an error. I'm showing you this important information actually. If you do this and it doesn't work, this is how you check your error. Not that it ever didn't work for me. No, I already told you it didn't work because I didn't have my location string. So I spent a lot of time looking at these logs, but the error message was terrible. The error message did not say check your location string. But here, this is what it ran. Select count star from churn stream 7, socialnet7.event. Doesn't even really say anything. Oh, success, record, true. I guess this is the return value, success. So that's it. That's my first Airflow DAG. And all we've done here is tested the connection. But in future streams, like the next couple of streams that I do, I'm going to do more exciting things like actually processing the data, creating features. But yeah, that's the plan for future streams. So I'm gonna like go back here to show like, you know, this is my little moment of success, all green. And if it doesn't work for you, check the location string. That's the one thing that tripped me up for a few days, or not literally a few days, but while I was doing it. So we uploaded them to the DAGs bucket and it took a few minutes to watch them run. So let's see. I think I can go back to my the flow here, but this is basically the end. So this was what we were just doing. Churn data test in the DAG folder. Don't forget to edit the project and the location. Well, if you're not using US West 1. And yeah, that's it. I think that's the plan for today. So here's a summary of what we did. Fighting churn, as I always say, is about targeted interventions, improvements, engagement, support, pricing, all these cool things you can do with your data. GCP, Google Cloud Platform, a nice place to use a free $300 credit to learn some stuff. I like learning, I love learning, and I mean, it's one of the things that motivates me to stay in this field. And really, most people you talk to, if they're in the data field, they usually love learning. So this is just a cool project you can do. If you've never used Google Cloud before, they give you a free credit to get started. Airflow is an open source pipeline process manager, which is set up for you in the Google environment by using the composer. A DAG is a directed acyclic graph, and everyone just says DAG. All the data engineers I hang out with, they all just talk about DAGs. No one talks about graphs even. But anyway, BigQuery is a big data database or a cloud data warehouse, or actually I love the term data lakehouse. I don't know, have you guys heard of the data lakehouse? It's a cross between a data lake and a data warehouse. And it's what you call it, people are calling that nowadays. It means that you have a data lake is a place where you put in staging data, unstructured data, and you do transforms. Like, well, everyone, you know that ELT is extract, load, transform. It used to be ETL, extract, transform, and then load. Now you load first and transform in the data lake. Excuse me. And a data lake house is then a data lake where you're also using data warehouse like tables. Like if you just have some tables in BigQuery that use a data warehouse schema and others which are like your staging and intermediate steps, then you're doing the data lake house. And the data lake house is, you know, the way to go nowadays, I say. And a lot of smart people. I didn't make that up. All right, virtual machine, a cloud instance. I think you already knew that. These are just all the things we saw today in the stream. Okay, and then the next stream, I'll actually do some real feature engineering in Airflow. This was just a setup. So this is like part one, shows you all the steps you need to get started in Google Cloud with data from fighting churn with data. Next stream, we'll actually start doing some more interesting stuff with it, the actual feature engineering. All right. Well, at the end, of course, I have to mention I wrote a book. It's called Fighting Churn with Data. If you want to get 40% off of it, use that coupon, save money, or maybe buy it on Amazon and get free shipping. It's up to you. But if you're going to buy it from the publisher, definitely use the discount code. All right, and please follow me on Twitter. That's where I'll give you updates about the stream. Or connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to have more like substantial conversations about data science or something. But I'm happy to connect with people who, you know, actually show an interest in churn. Okay, thank you to Leak Beats Lo-Fi for today's music. You can find Leak Beats here on Twitch, also on Spotify, which is where I'm plugging it in from. But it's good music for studying, working, live streaming. Won't get you in trouble with the copyright police on Google or anywhere else. So thank you, Leak Beats Lo-Fi. And thank you, everyone who follows me or participates in my streams. Let's see. We're going to do my usual thank you routine, if I can get it to work. Here we go. Thank you, Mice Risk, for following. I'm just going to go through the thank yous to all the new followers, give a shout out. Hopefully some of you are actually watching, or some of you watch this later. But this replay thing always takes a while. No, not that one. Do the next one. Replay feature, not so good in Streamlabs. Thank you to Peptide TV. Oh, that's it. Peptide TV. Nice name. I guess you're a chemist or something. But anyway, Peptide TV. Thank you for following. This is the part where I try to pronounce people's Twitch names. Oh, I already did Peptide TV. Come on. I'm wondering if this thing is bugged today. Come on, next one. Thank you, Mogador96, for following. I think these things are kind of working now. We'll get into a little rhythm here. As usual, I don't have too many followers, so don't worry. I'm not going to keep you here for an hour, like thanking my millions of followers. Thank you, Senegalese boy, for following and learning about data science and data in Senegal. If you are in Senegal, or wherever you are, Senegalese boy. We're all over the world these days. And next, thank you to Vinay0011. And what's that? Binary 3, I guess. Vinay Binary 3. Vinay 3. And next, thank you to another good name coming up. Stay tuned. Motor Headache 85. Thank you for following. Love your name, Motor Headache 85. I wonder if you're born in 1985 or you're just the 85th Motor Headache. Next, thank you to Atam Praveen. Thank you for following me. And don't worry, people, I've only got a few more. We can just chill out, enjoy the leak beats while we thank Mandardio, thank you for following. Getting down to the final few. The proud, the team Data here at Fighting Churn with Data. Thank you, Selu Bangers. Selu Bangers, right? Bangers is definitely the pronunciation of that second part. I don't know about Selu. Just a few left. And has anyone seen any other good data streams recently? Thank you, Sue Silva. Thank you for following me. Nice to have you on the data team. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your Twitch name right, but I tried. And last but not least for today, thank you, Alfuduran. Thank you for following me. I hope you're watching this stream or you watch it later, something like that. All right, that's all my